Hi guys, our today topic is insulin. Insulin from pharmacology. Insulin was first discovered by Banting and Bent in 1921, which was later on fully discovered by Sanger in 1956. Insulin is nothing but the single peptide change, and it is first produced from the pre-proinsulin, which is 110 amino acid, and then convert into the proinsulin of 86 amino acid, and then into the insulin of 51 amino acid. Now, what is the mechanism of action of insulin? In mechanism of action, it is a diagram from the K.D. Tripathi. There is an insulin receptor present on the cell membrane. Insulin receptor are mostly present on the many cells, and but it is variable. Like on the liver cells, there is more number of insulin receptor are present, but in the larger adipocyte, few more number of insulin receptor or the few insulin receptor are present on the large size of adipocyte, while on the liver more number of adipocytes are present. So it's variable, the presence of the number of the insulin receptor. But the insulin receptor is heteromer, as it consists of the 2 alpha subunit and 2 transmembrane beta subunit. So insulin will come and bind to this insulin receptor, and it phosphorylates the tyrosine kinase, to which it also phosphorylates the insulin receptor substrate, which activates the phosphorylation cascade, to which it activation, and which is responsible for the activation as well as the inhibition of the enzyme, right? As well as it also activates the phosphorylation cascade, activates the second messenger inositol triphosphate, which allows the entry of the glucose by mediating the GLUT4. That means, like, second messenger inositol triphosphate is responsible for the synthesis of the GLUT4, and it is GLUT4 mediate the entry of the glucose inside the cell, right? As well as it insulin receptor activates the RAS and further activates the MAP kinase. Transcription of the mRNA, it produces the regulatory protein, which is responsible for the cellular proliferation and differentiation, and is responsible for the growth. As well as the remaining insulin, either it will degrade in the cell, or otherwise it will recycle back or reuptake by the cell surface. It comes out of the cell and it's recycled back. Now, what are the types of the insulin? Okay, so the types of the insulin, there are 3 types of insulin. First, there is the regular or soluble type of insulin, lente type of insulin, and the isophene neutral protamine histon insulin. So the regular or soluble insulin is nothing but it is a buffered neutral pH of unmodified insulin. Okay, buffered neutral pH of unmodified insulin. And second one, insulin, what happened in this insulin solution of injection, whenever we give this injection of insulin, then it has a property to self aggregate to form the hexamer around the zinc, which later on gradually insulin monomers are gradually dissociated and produce the action. And injected insulin, we should give the injected regular insulin half to 1 hour before the meal to maintain the glucose level. Okay, so now there is the lente zinc suspension. One is the ultra lente, semi lente, and the lente. Ultra lente is the large particle which is crystalline and insoluble, and hence it is also long acting, while the semi lente is a smaller particle and is amorphous. It is crystalline, it is amorphous, it is insoluble, and long acting. And semi lente is the short acting. Lente is nothing but it is the ratio of the ultra lente and the semi lente in the proportion of 7:3. That's why it is intermediate acting. What is isophene? Isophene neutral protamine histon as NPH. What happened? like protamine complexed with all the insulin and the pH is neutral. It complex with the insulin and the pH is neutral. On subcutaneous injection, complex will dissociate to yield intermediate duration of action. So whenever we give the subcutaneous injection, its complex will dissociate gradually and produce the intermediate duration of action, and we can give the isophane before breakfast as well as before the dinner. And then we have the action of insulin. So what about the action of insulin? Insulin is mainly the anabolic hormone, and it is responsible for the synthesis of the glucose. So it will, in the presence of the glucokinase enzyme, it is responsible for the synthesis of the glucose 6-phosphate first. Second, it is responsible for the synthesis of the gluconeogenesis, as well as it is responsible for the glycogen synthase by increasing the presence of the glycogen synthase hormone, and also there is responsible for the synthesis of the triglyceride synthesis. It is responsible for the protein synthesis by inhibiting the protein breakdown and the clearance of the VLDL and the chylomicrons by stimulating the lipoprotein lipase. Lipoprotein lipase is the enzyme which is responsible for the breakdown or the remove of the lipoprotein like VLDL and the chylomicron. As well as insulin is also responsible for the multiplication, differentiation of the cell, as hence it is responsible for the growth. Insulin is responsible for the growth. So our next topic is reaction to insulin. Reaction to insulin. What reaction will occur? One is the hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia, local reaction, allergy and edema. Okay, so hypoglycemia is seen in patient with labile diabetes. Labile diabetes are the thing which is seen in the patient which require whose requirement of insulin is keep on fluctuating, and their insulin requirement is unpredictable. So to the response of such hypoglycemia, there will be two response. One is the counter-regulatory sympathetic, and other one is the neuroglycopenic symptoms. So counter-regulatory sympathetic stimulation, there will be the anxiety, tremor, sweating will occur, while in the neuroglycopenic there will be the dizziness, headache, mental confusion, abnormal behavior will occur. And in the local reaction, what we see, there will be the swelling, there could be the erythema, redness around them, but the most important is lipodystrophy. We can see the lipodystrophy around the injection site, right? And allergy, there will be the urticaria, angioedema, anaphylaxis could be occur, but it will be the rare thing. It is rare. And edema, we can see the edema. Why edema will occur? Edema can occur because of the retention of sodium or electrolyte, right? Our next topic is drug interaction. So in drug interaction, we see the beta adrenergic blocker, which is prolong the hypoglycemia, right? It prolongs the hypoglycemia, while thiazide, furosemide, OCP, corticosteroid, as we have seen that corticosteroid and oral contraceptive is responsible for increase the glucose level. So same, it increases the blood sugar level. Acute ingestion of alcohol, as we have studied in the biochemistry also, ingestion of alcohol can precipitate the hypoglycemia, right? Fourth point are lithium, aspirin and theophylline can also cause the hypoglycemia by increasing the synthesis of the insulin, right, and inhibiting the peripheral utilization of insulin. It contributes for the synthesis for the hypoglycemia. Lithium, aspirin and theophylline. Our next topic is uses of insulin. The uses of insulin, there is diabetes mellitus, ketoacidosis and the hyperosmolar or non-ketotic hyperglycemia. Okay, so in diabetes mellitus, we can use the insulin in both type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus. And intensive insulin therapy. Intensive insulin therapy has the advantage that it decreases the occurrence of the primary retinopathy, neuropathy as well as the nephropathy. and we should avoid intensive insulin therapy in the young children. Why? Because of the risk of the brain damage, right? And the ketoacidosis. What is ketoacidosis? It is the most common precipitate cause of ketoacidosis is infection, trauma, stroke, pancreatitis, inadequate dose of insulin, right? And ketoacidosis is what? When there is a deficiency of the glucose, then our body start using ketone bodies, and when the excess number of ketone bodies present in our body, it is responsible for decrease in pH, and that is known as ketoacidosis. And the cause of the ketoacidosis is infection, trauma, stroke, pancreatitis, or inadequate dose of insulin could be there. Third point is hyperosmolar non-ketotic hyperglycemia. Okay, so it is usually occur in the type 2 diabetes mellitus. Hyperosmolar non-ketotic hyperglycemia is mostly occur in the type 2 diabetes mellitus patient, and the blood glucose level more than 800 mg per deciliter, and the plasma osmolarity if less than 350 milliosmol per liter, coma can occur, and it can lead to the death also. Okay, so there is one chart of insulin lack of insulin. Like what happens if there will be the deficiency of insulin in our body? First, there could be the two things. Either it could be the hyperglycemia because of deficiency of insulin, and second thing, there will be the ketosis, that more synthesis of the ketone bodies in our body. If there will be the hyperglycemia, there will be the glycosuria, there will be hyperglycemia, there will be the glucosuria. What? Excretion of glucose in our body, excretion of glucose in our urine, that is responsible for the osmotic diuresis. Obviously, glucose is excreting out, and there will be the loss of electrolyte, intracellular potassium will deplete, hypokalemia could be occur, hypotension, shock, and tachycardia can occur because of the loss of the glucose, along with kalemia, potassium, that is hypokalemia, as well as along with the glucose, other electrolytes will also excrete in the urine like sodium, etc. As well as with the electrolyte, loss of water will also occur. There will be the hypotension, there will be the shock, and could be the, to compensate that hypotension, there will be the tachycardia. Now what happens in the ketosis? There will be the four things. One is acidosis, obviously, ketonuria and vomiting, impairment of glucose entry into the brain. So yes, why? Because if there will be the no glucose, our brain is mainly used glucose for the energy need, and secondly it will use ketone body. So there will be the impairment of glucose entry into the brain. If there is the deficiency of glucose won't reach to the brain. And second one is the ketonuria, because increased synthesis of the ketone bodies, there will be the excretion of ketone bodies in the urine, as well as there could be the vomiting. Both of the things are responsible for the loss of water as for the dehydration. Same as in the acidosis, there will be the loss of cation in the urine, there will be the loss of water along with that, there going to be the dehydration, and is responsible for the hyperosmolarity of the blood. Why? Because there will be the loss of water, so hyperosmolarity of the blood. Osmolarity will increase and is responsible for the intracellular dehydration. Okay, there will be the intracellular dehydration and is responsible for the impairment of the consciousness. If glucose won't reach to the brain, and if there will be the loss of water, dehydration, hyperosmolarity of the blood, there will be the intracellular degradation and is responsible for the impairment of consciousness. Yeah, so that's what occur, and this will lead to the coma, and if it's gonna be the severe, then death may occur in this condition. Thank you guys, I hope you like it, I hope you understood. Thank you.